I was told to go into this waiting to wed subreddit, and these posts have got to be some of the saddest posts outside of the regretful parent subreddit and breaking mom subreddit. These women are really, really wanting something that may not happen. And even if you get what you want, you're going to end up resenting them for taking too long, or the man is going to end up resentful because he was pushed into something that he didn't want. Regardless, it's like if it's not two people that just enthusiastically want to be with each other, or two people that enthusiastically want to have children, don't try to push people into doing things that they don't want to do. All right, so let's get into a couple of these posts. Waiting to wed. Has anyone given an ultimatum and actually ended up with a happy proposal? She says, I don't know if anyone remembers, but I'm the girl whose boyfriend had a rager at her on holiday because I quietly thought he was going to propose. I posted on a throwaway. Ultimatum happened. I've said I'd like to be proposed to by April. I didn't want to say it, and honestly, I think it's a pretty horrible thing to have to do, but he's been flip-flopping on marriage for years, and I need to know what my future looks like. He says he wants to marry me, but hasn't proposed and won't propose because we've been arguing a lot. We're actually only arguing a lot because he hasn't proposed, but he doesn't see that that's the reason I'm unhappy, nothing else. Anyway, point of this post. Is there anyone here who gave an ultimatum and was happy when the proposal came? I think if he does actually propose, I'll always be questioning it. The shut up ring, I guess. Although I'm not going to mention marriage or anything similar to him again, whether he proposes or decide better for myself. He says when he does propose, it won't be because I asked him to, but I don't know. Edit. Thanks for the responses so far, especially the ones that answer the question I asked. They're super helpful. To rephrase, I'm realizing I didn't give an ultimatum as you guys defined it here. I certainly wasn't a dick about it. I simply said, hey, we've been going back and forth on this for years, and I'm going to need to know by our anniversary if it's happening. Else, I'll have to make plans for my future. All right, Pamela says, my opinion is that you should only marry someone who enthusiastically and unequivocally wants to be married to you. I wouldn't beg or threaten anyone with propose or else. T.O. says, hinting heavily and long and then expressing disappointment when it didn't happen when I thought it would, ended up with a lovely proposal and a beautiful wedding, but a bad marriage and an unhappy husband and a wife and divorce. In some ways, I did ultimatum because I refused to move in unless he intended to propose. This time around, my partner and I have agreed in a year from now, we see ourselves engaged. If that's not where we are, I'll offer some time to dig into why. And if it makes sense for me to stay, I will, but not for much longer. A happy long-term relationship for me is a marriage, and I won't be with anyone who doesn't want that with me as much as I do with them. What's the key is that I really want to be married to this person. If they don't want the same, we aren't on equal footing and may never be. There is no 14th Street says, I love this. My current partner and I are doing 6 months of living together. We dated 14 months first before we decide if we want to marry. We are on month 2 of 6. And yes, we've had a couple of issues, but they're so amazing and wonderful. And I have never even considered marrying anyone until we met. The OP says, thanks a lot for this. It's great insight. That last part is exactly the conversation my boyfriend and I have had. Perhaps I misrepresented it by calling it an ultimatum. He said it was one, so I don't know. All right, T.O. Halo says, I think it's important to keep it simple. Why does it make you feel sad? What do you want him to feel? You want him to marry you? Why? Because you love him and you want to marry him badly and want him to feel the same way. It hurts. I think ultimatum is really not quite the right word at all. I want to be in a marriage, but you seem confused. I'm not. So I'm sorry. I need to go find someone who wants the partnership I want and who isn't confused about wanting to be in that partnership with me, because our time on earth is not infinite or guaranteed. And I want to live the rest of my life knowing I've experienced the love and family I want and deserve. Being in a family of 2 is a blessing. We were happy briefly. I truly knew joy after getting married for, on my side, the right reasons. I wish it had lasted because it's not about the wedding. Having a partner is so special. You deserve it. Don't linger with someone so confused about you. All right, so that was her advice to the OP. So this is another post. Proposed moving out today after 6.5 years. So she proposed moving out versus just moving out. All right, let's get into this post. So she's 33, he's 35. They've been together for 6.5 years. So she says, I have been with my boyfriend for 6.5 years, and today I finally proposed moving out to do what is best for me. After 2 years into our relationship, he took me ring shopping, and I thought it was going to happen. He never proposed, and when I asked, he told me he wasn't ready, which really crushed me. We had issues after that incident, and honestly, it's caused a lot of resentment, trust, and self-confidence and self-esteem issues for me. I have love for him, but I'm finally ready to move on. I want to get married to someone who loves me without any reservations or hesitations. I don't want to threaten them with a date or ultimatums. I don't want a shut up ring. I don't want to criticize myself every day and pick apart my flaws as to why he won't commit to me. I don't want to resolve one issue with my partner only for them to find yet another issue that keeps them from moving forward. I don't want to continue trying to change myself. I just want someone to love me for who I am. I am terrified of losing everything, starting over, and being alone, but I hope I will thank myself later. The crazy thing is, why are you proposing to move out? Like, a proposal is something to go back and forth on, or you're like asking a question. If he doesn't want to be with you, then just leave. Like, why is this a proposal? This seems weird to me. The matriarchal grip says, oof, I feel like I'm reading about my own life. I'm 31 and my partner is 31. We've been together for 6.5 years. Went ring shopping once about a year ago. Nothing has changed since then. I'm the one who brings up marriage, future, etc. And he always tells me he knows he wants it someday, but then he doesn't take action or even bring it up. I've asked him point blank why he doesn't want to marry me, and he says he does, but isn't ready yet. Blames some of his reservations on his parents' traumatic, messy divorce, but I don't know what to think anymore. His lack of action on this is making me doubt my own conviction in a future together. Then the OP says, yep, it sounds all too similar. There's always something to blame it on. Time to call it. When she says time to call it, I'm hoping that means that she's like, yes, I'm not just proposing that I leave. I'm actually leaving. Now I want to get to this one too. This one's in the Waiting to Wed subreddit as well. She says, so she's 35, he's 37. She says, I broke up with my boyfriend of 8 years almost a month ago. I've seen this subreddit over the years, but was too afraid to read any of them. So I want to share my story to maybe help someone else. I've always wanted marriage and a ring, and this man was my everything, and I couldn't wait to marry him. He was handsome, smart, fun, and brought new sides of me out. I loved his family and couldn't wait to become part of it. We never fought, not about anything serious except marriage. He knew this whole time is what I wanted, and he never knew what he wanted to do. Couldn't even give me an answer until a month ago. Everything snapped. I've been slowly pulling away because I knew it would never happen. I still had amazing memories before and after. I knew I had to do it. I'll never regret our time together, but God, I'm angry. These men get what they want without doing any of the heavy lifting, therapy to dive into why they don't want to commit, or just leave us be. It's up to us to make the change. That's the part. It's up to us to make the change. If you see that you're not getting what you want, then leave these people alone. She says, it took years of friends telling me to do it, months of therapy, a lot of gumption, and honestly, a lot of balls, but we can do it. I don't think that we should be using male phrasing for our own courage, because women's courage is a whole different thing. And a lot of times these men do not have, never mind. Just find another word for courage for women. Let's not use male oriented stuff. She says, I don't know what will happen, but I know I needed to do this for me. You will know what is right for you, no matter how hard you push it down. Okay, so that was 3 different posts in the Waiting to Wed. These women really, really want this, and I get it. That's just what we have been socialized to do. Too many women get so wrapped up in marriage and being the mom and a wife and all of that, and they make that a personality. You need a personality outside of being a wife and mother. You are a whole human being, and you're more than just those titles. Join the conversation. Let me know what you think. like, comment, and share. So we've seen the woman side in the waiting to wed subreddit where women were talking about wanting to be married. So this is in the Ask Men Advice subreddit. He says, why are some guys unsure about marriage with long-term girlfriends? So let's get into this post. I think that this would be interesting to see the flip side of it. This person says, I have some male friends in their mid to early 20s with long-term girlfriends of 5 to 6 years that they met in college. They seem to love their girlfriends, or at least it appears so. You can't believe words these days. And they claim nothing is technically wrong. However, they seem to be unsure if they want to marry. And I haven't gotten a chance to bluntly ask if they don't like the idea of marriage or if they just don't want to marry their girlfriend. I'm just confused with why they seem to be struggling so much. If they wanted to stay with their girlfriends, wouldn't they clarify that they still want to stay committed to their partner, even if they don't want to marry? I understand that they're all still young, but why does it almost feel like they don't want to stay with their girlfriends? I'm just curious and also confused listening to them. What do the other men think? Edit. I understand the view of marriage being a social construct and a piece of paper. Please think of some other reasons too. LOL. Okay, let's see what the means have to say. Observant Pariah says, a lot of men feel like they can't get a fair shake in society. It seems to them like the way the world now works is that everything has to be equal, except she is a sympathetic character and he isn't. So this is the complete expectation that you can never expect society to have your back, even when you are clearly being hurt, leaves men to feel the need to have some form of protection. That protection comes from knowing that she can't act like she doesn't have to care if you still want to be there. Because if that happens, no matter what she does or how she treats you, everyone will be there to tell you it's all your fault. I don't know if that actually answers the questions, but that was some words. All right, not a doctor says. I'd add in that most men aren't scared to get married. They're scared to get divorced or be stuck in a marriage that they're unhappy in. So, if there are warning signs, red flags, things that they are unsure of with their current partner, it can lead to them dragging their feet, hoping things get better, or the feeling of, is it going to be like this for the rest of our relationship? It can be issues that don't seem bad enough to end the relationship on their own, but enough to give pause and make you feel like you're stuck and unsure when you start taking the next steps to advance the relationship. Add in that everyone has their own biological clock and expectations of how fast things should move in a relationship. So now, then there's a time pressure added to the relationship. The simple answer is to communicate and work through the issues or discover you're incompatible and in the relationship. But a lot of people are communicators when it comes to expressing themselves and their needs or listening and understanding the other person. Cold Hard Pocket Change says, this is an awesome response, and I pretty much wrote the same thing before reading your comment. I think this is more on the money than people want to admit. Then He Nee says, yeah, besides the kids and some tax breaks, there's absolutely no upside to getting married and about 50% of my future salary as a potential downside. Demina Gaijin says, and they may just have a pretty realistic fear that they will not find someone better. Just getting dates is seriously difficult for most men. Bry Christed says, men realize that they are just being crapped on and blamed for just about everything that's bad in the world. Add to that the shitty deal that men get in a marriage when it doesn't work out. Why wouldn't we be super cautious and not excited to enter into that contract? Stranger to Stranger says, this doesn't make any sense. Women still tend to be eager to get married, and they've been crapped on for basically all of human history. Edit. Never mind, LOL. Didn't realize the sub was a sexist echo chamber. Master Discord at the bottom says men typically get the worst end of the stick if a marriage falls through, not women. This is one of the main ways the patriarchy is harmful to men. So everything that they're talking about is not about why they won't get married. It's just that the ending of a relationship sucks only for the men, though. Crumple Dump says, this is the absolute facts summed up. Women have changed the society and told on themselves on TikTok to the point that it's not worth taking a chance on marrying the very best of women. Most women not being worth committing to as a girlfriend. I can't wait though for the usual bunch to show up and tell us men that we're wrong and that it's because we're insecure, intimidated man children. Okay, I think that that right there should be enough to let women know that, you guys are, a lot of these women right now are clamoring for this group. This is the group of guys that are available. And this is how they talk a lot of times. And then if they're not this and they're willing to commit, you get them to the other side where you got the ring and everything. And then they're just like furniture with eyes and they do not want to participate in the home. They're just there. All right, let's see. This person in the middle says, I think if you're evaluating any group of people based on TikTok, you're likely going to come away with the opinion. It's good to remember that the best of any demographic group is generally going to be too busy living their lives to be constantly present on social media. It shows the worst of us all. Mysterious says, women on here will, on the bottom three-fourths of men for traits they were born with and physically cannot change. And also the comment being, you know what? This is all just complaining. I'm sorry. Okay. It's very interesting to see the women who are clamoring for marriage and the men who don't want marriage because they all believe that they get shafted in marriage. I'm just looking at their thoughts. I don't really have a whole lot of commentary on it. I've kind of done it as I've gone along. But, this is who you're trying to pull into marriage, and they don't want it. They don't want it. Stop trying to pull people that don't want to be pulled. Only go with the people that are enthusiastically going in the same direction as you. Join the conversation. Let me know what you think about all of this whining. Don't forget to like, comment, and share. So we've been talking about walkaway wife syndrome. Walkaway wife syndrome. Yes, they put it on the woman as having kind of an issue, but it's really just women getting tired of saying the same things over and over, not being heard, and then this woman finally making the plan and walking away, and then the men are blindsided. They never see it coming. Anyway, this woman asked this question in the Ask Women Over 40 subreddit to the walkaway wives in their 40s and 50s. What finally made you decide to walk away? She says, I've been seeing a therapist for myself for 8 months, but husband is too uninterested or scared to go to individual therapy. I've asked multiple times for him to go to a therapist of his choosing this year. I can't force him to go. We had major trauma in our relationship 8 months ago. I need to see individual therapy taking place before I consider marriage therapy again. We've had 2 batches, at least 6 sessions each of marriage counseling in the last 4 years. He chose to not have individual therapy at all. Then I have been asking regarding my emotional needs, validation, respect, physical affection outside the bedroom, cherishment, acknowledgement, love languages, less criticism, verbal thank yous and apologies for more than a decade. Small things have changed, but I have kind of lost hope. Please give me your advice. Tell me your stories. Needs more Tuba says if they don't want to benefit from therapy, then they won't benefit from therapy. She says, we sure did spend a lot of money on it though. Now I'm in therapy for different reasons. Anyway, I walked away because he gave me 24 hours to find a new home for our dog. If the dog was still there when he got home, he was going to take it away or even maybe unalive it. The dog did nothing wrong except for running out an open door because he was scared of all the yelling. We'd had him since he was a puppy, and he was so good with our toddler. He was part of our family. So the next day, when my ex came home from work, the dog was gone. So was I. I put some thought into it and chose the one who'd never hurt me on purpose. It was the right choice. My dog loves it here, but he'd be happy anywhere I am. And then she gives the picture of the dog. That is a cute dog, and I'm not even really into pets that much, but that is an adorable, happy dog. And then Wire Spectacle says the dog is saying, bye, loser. Needs More Tuba says, I do wonder how my dog would react if my ex showed up. Honestly, I think he'd be thrilled because dogs are perfect creatures. Energetic Triangle says, my dogs happily ran to greet my ex at the door every day when he came home from work. They didn't know he had only pretended to like them until he'd trapped me in the marriage. They still came running even when he'd been ignoring them for months. Needs More Tuba says, my ex is trying to re enter our kids' lives, so lately I see him more often. I recently thought my dog was dying from cancer. A very expensive scan revealed he isn't. So I asked my ex if he wanted to see our dog before it died. All he did was ignore the question and start an argument. When we come home after visiting him, especially after he gave our kid birthday presents, the dog sniffed the gift bags and got super excited, like, hey, I know that smell. That's the guy who used to feed me sometimes. I think he misses my ex when he thinks about it, which probably isn't often. I'm his number one human. We don't deserve dogs. They're so pure. Banana Cream Sky says, oh my God, dogs are the sweetest. Ex husbands, not so much. Busy Bee Mom says, good for you for making the best and right choice. The rage I feel about him potentially unaliving the dog. Enjoy your freedom and best friend. Gold Art said, my ex-husband threatened to throw my cat outside for causing thousands of dollars in damage to an antique wood door. My cat did a big stretch in the corner of the doorway. He was a good cat and wasn't a scratcher of things. There was zero damage. Okay, now this is the part that I wanted to get to. Briself says, did you take your toddler too? What happened to your toddler? And then Needs More Tuba says, haha, yeah, I wound up with full custody. And then Little Mountain Mama says, I'm laughing so damn hard. I had to go down like 10 comments to find someone asking about the kid. Everything was about the dog. Frumpy Mom says he went away for a couple of weeks to help out a friend, and I realized how much better I felt with him out of the house. That was a huge milestone for me. Lots more to the story, but I think that was the turning point. Um, I'm not sure what fifth one says. This exactly. Go away yourself. Do you? Do you miss them? Are you excited to tell them about it when you get back? Or are you relieved, more relaxed, anxiety about returning? Assignment Clean says, I've been away for 3 weeks now and don't miss my husband. Is that a bad sign? BDDDB says there's a difference between not missing someone and feeling freer, lighter, better. Leaving can be the hardest thing to do while feeling and knowing life is better without them. Are you begrudging going home? Hopeful Original says, so true. An even bigger difference if you're not on vacation or other type of situation where real life is suspended, but are tending to all the stresses of life and such, work, childcare, whatever. If your day to day is lighter and freer without him, if you catch yourself dreading their return while living day to day life, it's the answer. It's easy on work trips or what you have when it's not real life because it's all fun and there are distractions. But if real life is easier without them in it, then they need to get gone ASAP. Also, if you're happy when they go away for their selfish BS where you used to feel sad, but now don't want them to return. Rainforest Stranger says this. My ex husband wound up working out of the country on the other side of the world for about 3 months. The thrill and satisfaction of independence, the change, increase in money in our budget, and reclaiming my personal time was such an eye opening experience. He had me thinking I couldn't make it on my own financially. I realized that I could and honestly had more money freed up when he wasn't there spending it. I'm sorry, yeah, freed up when he was there spending it. Reefer Roulette said, my ex worked a lot. When he was gone, I felt calm and temporarily free, yet I looked forward to him coming home from work. It took far too long for me to realize that looking forward feeling was actually dread. Whew. And then finally, Reefer Roulette said, at one point I did look forward to seeing him, but it transitioned into dread so slowly, I don't think I was able to distinguish the amped up feeling of dread versus excitement. I also used to have a hard time identifying exact emotions. It didn't help that I would tell myself that that's not how I really felt, and I must be wrong. I was delusional, basically, and lacked any form of self confidence. I didn't want to believe reality or my true feelings. Any Positive says, I used to love being without him when he'd visit family and I was alone, alone like on Christmas. Gorse Brush says, this was it for me too. He went on vacation with his family for 8 days, and it was the most glorious 8 days I had experienced. I didn't miss him at all. That is a huge red flag. So these are women who have walked away, and they're not feeling sad or depressed about divorce or whatever. This is how they feel. Anyways, if you have any stories, go ahead, join the conversation. Let me know what you think. Don't forget to like, comment, and share.